Huh.
Alright folks, this is the neck mortise template attached to the guitar. It is actually masking tape and super glued down. Where am I? There we go. And it's kind of hard to see, but so I have a 1/2 inch block there, and it worked out perfectly. And I have a very short wire on my camera. No telling where that went. Alright, so you can't really see it, but I just have it glued down there with tape underneath the edge of that. And I'm going to add some clamps out here right where these support blocks are here. I'm going to put a clamp here and a clamp here, and these lines are where my router clearance is at. So that's going to be good. So that's it. So we'll have the extra clamps on there, so I'm not worried about the thing moving, but I think it's pretty rigid just the way it is. Well, you can't really see much camera angle, but I'm taking off just the top thickness right now. Alright, I got quite a ways to go here. I got to change to another router bit that'll get me deeper. Alright, I'm just changing that cutter out, and you see I have a couple bearings stacked there, and I'm just gonna, it's about a 1/2 inch longer bit, which isn't gonna get me to the bottom of my cutout here. I'll look around some more. I used to have a 3/4 inch bit that had a longer shank on it. So I did a couple more cutter changes, and so ended up here with 3 bearings. I just stacked them so I could put the lock collar on that and push it all the way up into the collet. I think I've only maybe got 3/16 in that collet. It was a little hairy on this last pass. I don't like doing that, but this is an English drawn plan, and so I'm going to make an assumption here, which is always dangerous. I'm going to assume that his metric dimensions are actually more accurate than his SAE or fractional dimensions. And the reason I say I'm going to assume they're more accurate is because when you add up the metric and then you add up the fractions, they're slightly off, about 1/8 of an inch. Now, 1/8 of an inch isn't going to make or break it, because all that does is relocate your bridge a little bit in the end, because I'm talking about the length of the neck out of the pocket, right? So if it changes the direction of the nut one way or the other, that just changes the location of the bridge by that much, which isn't huge because I'm not mass producing these and I'm not setting something up that's gonna, and if I were, once it's set up, it's all the same anyway. So, but the other thing is, when you're doing that, you pull numbers off a plan, and I learned this a long time ago with architectural plans with building. You always use the call out, okay? You always use the number listed as the number, okay? The dimension. You don't scale the plan and say, oh, well, the plan scales at this and the number says this, and so I'm going to follow the plan. It's always the call out that you go with, and that's what I'm going to do in this case, because when I actually scale the plan, it's different than the number. So, but every line on this thing is different than what the number calls out. So I'm going with the numbers and assuming that, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm going with the number because that's call out, and that's just the way you do things. At any rate, I am, at this point, I've already laid it out. I'm just double checking all my dimensions to make sure that they're accurate, that I haven't, screwed up somewhere in my addition or my layout period. Sharpened my pencil to be as accurate as possible, and was the other thing I was going to mention? Oh, to work out the neck angle on this thing, and I'll turn the camera down here, but I made a piece of wood, cut a piece of wood to the dimension of the neck pocket, right? And so it fits in the neck pocket snugly. And I'm going to rotate this down, move my guitar around, so that it's more easier to understand. It's a piece of wood. It's 40 millimeters wide. I slid it into the neck pocket, and then I was able to do a mock-up with the fretboard, with just tape some washers on to simulate fret height and string height, and then straight edged across to my bridge that I had laid out, and also shimmed up to the appropriate height because of the posts and the adjustment wheels. So basically I did that. Then I was able to either raise or lower my mock-up neck here in order to ascertain the correct neck angle. And so I did. That's what I did. I thought that was a pretty easy way to get to where I needed to be, because it's really hard. I tried to just hold the fretboard up there and you know, kind of gauge things. This made it much easier to actually just have this sitting there relatively solid, because it's tight in the pocket. And I was allowed to find out that I have a 4.5 degree neck angle. It measures about 4 on the plan. In one place. It measures at 5 in another place. So I didn't want to just, you know, cut an angle on there and hope it works out, because once you get the angle cut on the heel, and then you have to cut the angle on the bottom of the neck tenon as well, and you put it all in here, and if it doesn't work out, then you are going to have to be shimming or gluing material back on the neck tenon in order to recut that angle, and I didn't want to do that. So I think I'm pretty 99.9% positive that this is going to get me where I need to be, and I'll have a good joint, good angle.